Imagine that today you made the biggest mistake of your life. You spilled your coffee, ruined an experiment, or accidentally pressed a button that should never have been touched. Sounds like a disaster? But what if that very mistake could make you a billionaire or save millions of lives? Today, I'm going to show you inventions that changed history simply because, one day, someone said, "Oops." And if you love stories that make you see the world in a completely different way, subscribe to the channel right now. You'll be surprised how many brilliant discoveries humanity made not because of a perfect plan, but because of the simplest mistakes. And the last story is so absurd that if it were shown in a movie, most people would say, "There's no way that actually happened." Let's go. The most expensive mess in the world. 1928, London. The laboratory is in such complete chaos that any modern chemistry teacher would probably call an ambulance. Petri dishes on the tables, flasks, papers, and bacteria. A lot of bacteria. After returning from vacation, Alexander Fleming comes back to work. He looks at his experiments and sees mold. If this happened today, most of us would do exactly 3 things. First, you. Second, the trash can. Third, coffee. But Fleming was a strange man. He didn't throw the dish away. He started examining it and suddenly noticed something incredible. Around the mold, the bacteria had simply disappeared, as if they'd had a very short conversation. "Guys, there's some weird stuff over there. Let's get out of here." That very ruined dish became the beginning of the discovery of penicillin. Before that, people could die from cutting a finger, from a scratch, from an ordinary infection. Today, that sounds unbelievable. Back then, it was everyday life. One dirty Petri dish saved hundreds of millions of lives. And after that, some people still say that being messy never leads to anything good. Although, don't show this part to your mom. But even this story isn't as funny as the next one, because the next invention began with a chocolate bar and a very hungry engineer. Microwave oven, 1945. Engineer Percy Spencer is testing equipment for military radar systems. Just an ordinary workday. No one has any idea that, at this very moment, the device that would become every student's favorite chef decades later is about to be born. Suddenly, he reaches into his pocket and freezes. His chocolate has turned into hot chocolate, without the chocolate having any say in the matter. Most people would have simply bought another one, but not him. The next day, he brings some corn. A few seconds later, pop. Popcorn is flying all over the laboratory. But that still wasn't enough for him. His next experiment? An egg. The result? The egg decided to become a grenade. It exploded right there in the lab. A few years later, the world got its first microwave oven, and now we can make dinner in 2 minutes, or forget a spoon inside and enjoy a little light show. The next invention wasn't born out of curiosity, it was born out of spite. And honestly, every chef has probably wanted to do exactly the same thing at least once. Potato chips, 1853. A very picky customer walks into a restaurant. He's served fried potatoes, too thick. The chef silently makes another batch. Still too thick, even thinner, no. And that's the exact moment the chef officially runs out of patience. He decides to teach the customer a little lesson. He slices the potatoes so thin that you could almost read through them against the light, fries them until they're perfectly crispy, adds plenty of salt, and serves them thinking, well, now there's no way you're going to like these. The customer takes a bite, smiles, and orders another serving. That was probably the first time in the chef's life that he regretted his plan working a little too well. That's how an act of accidental revenge became a multi-billion-dollar industry. And somewhere in the world, every few seconds, another bag of potato chips is being opened. But now comes a story that proves even a complete failure can sometimes be sold to the whole world. You just have to resist the urge to throw the result away. Post it. When failure brings billions. Imagine you're working on an invention that's supposed to become a revolution. Your entire team is waiting for the result. Your boss is too. You mix the chemicals, run experiment after experiment, and finally, you end up with a complete failure. That's exactly what happened at 3M chemist Spencer Silver was trying to create an ultra-strong adhesive, one that would hold anything, forever, but instead, he created an adhesive that barely held anything at all. The company couldn't figure out what it was even good for. Years went by. The invention sat on a shelf. Until one day, another employee, Art Fry, ran into a strange problem. He sang in a church choir, and the bookmarks in his hymn book kept falling out. Sound familiar? You open a book, and suddenly you can't remember where you left off. Then it hit him. What if I used that same bad glue? He made small pieces of paper. You could stick them on, peel them off, and stick them on again. That's how Post-it notes were born. The irony is that the company considered this invention a failure for years. Today, hundreds of millions of packs are sold all over the world. Sometimes the problem isn't that your idea is bad. Maybe you just haven't found what it's actually meant for yet. But the next story is even stranger, because the next invention simply disappeared. Literally. Teflon, the material that was never supposed to exist. 1938. Chemist Roy Plunkett was working with gases used in refrigerators. He prepared a gas cylinder. There was gas inside. Everything was going according to plan. The next day, he opened the valve. Nothing. The gas was gone. Where did it go? The cylinder was still heavy, which meant there was something inside. Just not gas. They cut the cylinder open. Inside, they found a strange white powder. At first, everyone thought the experiment had failed once again. But when they started studying the substance, they discovered that almost nothing would stick to it. It wasn't affected by high temperatures, and it was extremely resistant to chemicals. That's how Teflon was accidentally born. Today, it's used in frying pans, airplanes, cars, medical equipment, and spacecraft. All because the gas decided to disappear without any explanation. And now comes a story that looks like a scene from a science fiction movie, except it really happened. X-rays. When a scientist saw the invisible. 1895. Physicist Wilhelm Röntgen was conducting experiments with electrical rays. The laboratory was dark. Then suddenly, a screen on the other side of the room started glowing. But there was one problem. A thick black barrier stood between the device and the screen. Light couldn't possibly pass through it. Röntgen thought, something very strange is happening here. He began testing. He covered the device, moved objects around, and then he realized there was an unknown form of radiation that could pass through many materials. He placed his hand in front of the screen and saw his own bones. Imagine his reaction. You come to work and accidentally discover a way to look inside the human body without a single bit of magic. That's how the world got X-rays. Today, it's hard to imagine modern medicine without them. And it all started with a mysterious glow that was never supposed to appear there in the first place. And if you think that's already the peak of accidental discoveries, the next invention was born after someone literally dropped a mixture onto a hot stove. Vulcanized rubber, the accident that put the world on wheels. In the first half of the 19th century, rubber was terrible. In hot weather, it became sticky like melted chewing gum. In freezing temperatures, it turned as hard as stone. It was basically a material with an attitude, and a very bad one. American inventor Charles Goodyear became completely obsessed with improving it. For years, he mixed different substances, performed hundreds of experiments, spent every last dollar he had. Eventually, everyone around him started thinking he was losing his mind. Then one day, an accident happened. During one of his experiments, a mixture of rubber and sulfur accidentally fell onto a hot stove. At first glance, it looked like yet another ruined experiment, but when the material cooled, it remained strong, flexible. It didn't melt, it didn't crack. That's how vulcanized rubber was born. Without it, we wouldn't have car tires, airplanes, most industrial seals, or even athletic shoes. Sometimes all it takes is dropping something in the wrong place. But now comes the story of an invention that its own creator absolutely hated because he never wanted people to use it that way. Super glue, the invention, everyone thought was useless at first. During World War II, American chemist Harry Coover was searching for a material for optical instruments. But one of the substances behaved terribly. It stuck to glass, to metal, to equipment, to practically everything. For a scientist, it was a nightmare. The material was put aside because it seemed completely useless. Several years passed. Then someone asked a very simple question. What if this isn't the problem? What if this is exactly what makes it valuable? That's how the world got super glue. The very same glue that has, at least once in your life, glued together. Not what you actually wanted. 2 parts? No. Your fingers. And almost everyone who's ever used super glue has tested at least once whether it really is super. Spoiler, it is. And finally, here's a story that proves people can sometimes make money from something that was once considered a defect. Champagne, the most delicious mistake. Today, a bottle of champagne is associated with celebration, victory, New Year's Eve, a wedding. But several centuries ago, winemakers hated bubbles because they meant only one thing. The wine had gone bad. Bottles exploded, corks flew out, wine cellars turned into real minefields. Imagine being a winemaker. He walks into the cellar to check his stock, and suddenly, bang, another bottle. Bang! Probably that's when the world's very first wine fireworks show was born. But then something unexpected happened. People tasted the wine and said, wait, we actually like it. What had once been considered a defect became a symbol of luxury. And now people willingly buy a drink full of bubbles and even shake the bottle on purpose after a victory. The very first winemakers would probably be pretty surprised if they could see it today. If you look closely at all these stories, they're not really about accidents, they're about people. Because mistakes happen to everyone, every day, every minute. The only difference is that most of us see them as the end. But great inventors saw them as the beginning. Fleming didn't throw away a ruined experiment. Spencer didn't get upset over a melted chocolate bar. Plunkett didn't dismiss a strange white powder as a failure. They asked just one question. What if? And sometimes, that single question changes history. Maybe, somewhere in the world right now, someone is accidentally making a mistake that 10 years from now will change the lives of millions of people. So the next time something doesn't go according to plan, don't rush to get discouraged. Who knows? Maybe that's exactly how your greatest story begins. If this video surprised you, leave a like. It helps this video reach even more viewers. And let me know in the comments, which of these accidental mistakes amazed you the most? Or maybe you know another invention that was born completely by accident. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are many more incredible stories ahead that prove one simple thing. Reality is far stranger than fiction.